All right, the prosecution has rested its case against the disgraced former governor of Illinois, Rod Blagojevich. Now, before doing so, this video was played for the jurors. Now, it shows the 2003 swearing in of Blagojevich, in which he takes the oath and pledges to protect and defend the Constitution. Now, the government alleges that Blago broke that pledge when he tried to sell President Obama's old Senate seat. And more audio tapes have been released in recent days by prosecutors that paint a very unflattering picture of Blago. Listen to this.
Okay? I busted my ass and pissed people off, and I gave your grandmother a free ride on a bus. Okay? I gave your baby a chance to have health care. I fought every one of those including every special interest out there who can make my life easier and better because they want to raise taxes on you, and I fight them and keep them doing it. And what do I get for that? Only 13% of y'all out there think I'm doing a good job. So all of you. Not to mention the fact that I'm a criminal investigations and my family's in jeopardy.
All right, the defense will begin presenting its case on Monday, and the big question is whether or not they plan to call top White House advisors Rambo, Deadfish Emanuel, and Valerie Jarrett to take the stand. And will the man that Hillary Clinton once referred to as the president's slum landlord, former Obama fundraiser Tony Resco, be called to testify? Now, you can bet the White House will be following all of this very closely. And joining me now with the very latest are Fox News contributor Tamara Holder, who's been following the trial inside the courtroom, and Chicago attorney Bill Cadigan. Guys, welcome back.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
All right. It always comes down to the tapes for me, Tamara. What impact does it have on the jury?
Well, you know, it's interesting. There were over 500 hours of tapes here, and the jury only heard, I would say, about less than 100 conversations. Remember, the FBI had the option to do minimization, which meant that they could turn conversations on and off. So what the prosecution did here was they tried to play on the heartstrings of the jury. Instead of trying to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt, they wanted the jury to hear Patty Blagojevich drop F-bombs. They wanted to hear the governor, you know, lift weights in the background instead of being at work. This is what their goal was. Instead of bringing in main witnesses like Rahm Emanuel, Jesse Jackson Jr., Tony Resco, they just chose to play on the heartstrings, and I don't think it's going to work.
Well, that's interesting. Well, first of all, I'm wondering what you think about that, Bill, but more importantly, we've now had testimony from two different people that, in fact, in spite of the president's claim that he was up to his eyeballs in trying to get Valerie Jarrett the seat.
Well, I think, Sean, that's the biggest thing to come out of this. The White House has to be embarrassed, at least, that the report that they issued prior to the president being sworn in has been contradicted in so many instances. I disagree with Tamara's characterization about the tapes. I think the prosecution has had to prove that Rod Blagojevich engaged in a scheme to sell the Senate seat. They have done that through the tapes. That he tried to extort a hospital executive, they've done that through the tapes. It wasn't the prosecution that told Rod Blagojevich to use the words he used. The tapes are very, very incriminating and going to be very difficult for Rod Blagojevich to counter that in his defense.
Tamara, you want to respond?
Sean, any tape that you play of anyone, of your conversation with somebody or my conversation, you can always make your own story up. They had witnesses. Sean, they had a witness list of between 600 to 800 people, and they only put on a few, like 30 witnesses. Why did they need the tapes? Instead, why didn't they extrapolate this testimony from live witnesses? That's because they wanted the tapes to prove their own story. And this is just, it's their own made-up case here. We have no money transferring hands. We have the only witnesses that they used were people like. Well,
Sean, the reason that these cases, Sean, are attempt and conspiracy cases. You don't have to prove that money changed hands for Rod Blagojevich to be found guilty of what he's been charged.
Right, but your only witnesses, their witnesses were people who had vested interests in telling whatever they wanted for the prosecution to hear. John Harris, he had a plea deal on the line. His sentence is on the line here. Lon Monk, his sentence is on the line.
Case in every
of course,
criminal.
The prosecution is going to say what they want to hear.
All right, now let me ask both of you this, because you both raising very interesting points, and it's interesting to get the different vantage points here. But they didn't call Rambo. They didn't call Valerie Jarrett. They didn't call Tony Resco. So obviously the prosecution made a decision, Tamara, that they're not going to be helpful to their case. And that raises the possibility, when this all kicks off again on Monday, that that Blago's team's going to do what the prosecution didn't do.
Right.
I hope that the judge allows this, because here's the thing. Rahm Emanuel came up so much in this trial, you would think that he was on trial himself. Tom Balanoff opened up the prosecution's case in the very beginning, the first couple of weeks, and said that Emanuel called him. Sean, their second to last witness was a lobbyist who said the same exact thing. He corroborated that Emanuel called him on behalf of Obama.
And the SEIU
so the beginning and the end, the bookends of the case
Sean,
are about Obama.
Go ahead.
I think in all likelihood we are going to see Rahm Emanuel testify at this trial. He's been subpoenaed. His attorneys have not attempted to quash or otherwise get him excused from testifying. And I think the same is going to be true for Valerie Jarrett.
As the defense, because I'm running out of time here. Tamara, we'll start with you. As the defense makes their case, is there anything that you could point to that you think would be exculpatory for Blagojevich?
You know, I think that the most important thing is for Rahm Emanuel to testify, and Jesse Jackson Jr. You know, the prosecution here is saying that Jesse Jackson Jr. knew of a deal. And I think that Jesse Jackson Jr. needs to come in and say, I was in a meeting and there was no conversation about a deal whatsoever with the governor.
All right. Well, do you see anything, Bill, exculpatory for the governor?
I think if the jury is packed with Cubs fans, and Rod Blagojevich's love for the Cubs, I think, came through. But no, these tapes were very, very damning. It was Rod Blagojevich, in his own words, that wove the rope that he will be hanged. Now, that's not to say that he can't make an effective defense, that the tapes that he's going to offer, government tapes that he offers, won't help, but it's going to be very, very tough.
But again, if they're selectively choosing some tapes and then other tapes are even somewhat exculpatory, remember, he's just got to meet the standard of reasonable doubt.
Absolutely,
right,
but he's still, even then, he's... All right, Sean.
All right, we got to end. You can finish. Well, we're actually running out of time.
No, I think he's got to hit a grand slam. I think he's got to do very, very well.
Right.
He's obviously a very sincere and practiced politician when he gets in front of an audience. We'll see if the judge lets him make the kind of speeches he likes to make.
Well, apparently they're going to put him on the stand. At least that's what we're hearing. So it's going to be interesting.
Oh, he'll
to watch.
definitely be on the stand. I think the tapes that he wants to bring in.
Keep it simple.
All right,
I say
guys.
he should not testify.
You can't agree on anything.
I think he's definitely, if he wants to get those tapes in, Sean, the exculpatory tapes, it has to be through his own testimony. So it's going to be The Apprentice Part 2. We're going to see a lot more Rod Blagojevich in the next few weeks.
I'm betting that he takes the stand. I don't think he'd be able to miss this. But now, thank you both for being with us.
I think you're right.
And before we break, I want to
Thank
tell you about a brand new way to get in touch with the Fox News channel wherever you are. It's called Fox News Android app. It's now available and allows you to receive breaking news alerts, stream videos of your favorite shows, hopefully this one, and much more. And all you have to do is go to Android Market and search for Fox News. Download it now. Don't forget, iPhone users